Welcome back to the Sunday Pulse. We've just finished talking about WCS format and WCS Korea. If you're just joining us, you're just in time. I said just like 3 times in that sentence. You're just in time for WCS EU, where we're going to be talking about lots of cool stuff. Now, I want to remind people that we're doing points through the chat. If we can pull up the graphic one more time to explain to people how the system works, is that if you are a Twitch chat user, you can type in !karma, and then the person you want to give your points to and the point value. So in this case, I think Ben has somewhere like 1,100 points or something like that.
Just guys, just type !Karma Rotterdam so we can get it out of the way.
It's actually Kevin, because Rotterdam is not really registered that. Type in Ben or Kevin, you give them the number of points. You only have 50 to give, so use it. I know immediately after I said it, there's like 400 points were immediately distributed to both of you guys. But I think we're having lots of fun discussion. You guys having fun?
Yes.
Always, Dan.
Cool. So let's talk about WCS EU. As this past week, there was lots of madness going around the ESL qualifiers, which were basically go for Starcraft 2, but served as a basis of qualifiers, where 4 tournaments happened, and the top 2 would move on to WCS EU season number 1. Now, ESL tried to host thousands, and I mean thousands of participants. On the last day, ESL swung open the floodgates and attempted to host a 2,048-player bracket. Now, looking at the right side column of the players graphic that we can pull up, you can see all the people that qualified minus the 2 that Blizzard didn't release in their press statement. So we want to issue a congratulations to Happy, Daishi, Feast, Bunny, and Crash and Straylock. And the last 2 qualified were Civ and Shuttle, Shuttle being the only Korean to make it through the EU qualifiers. I do want to note that no Zergs qualified, 6 Terrans and 2 Protosses. Now, Ben and Kev, you guys casted one of the qualifiers, and you guys have been also following it very closely. It's a lot of your boys. It's a lot of your man, my man. So what are some of the biggest storylines and some of your favorite moments from WCS? Let's put 5 minutes on the clock because we don't want to talk too long. We'll begin with Ben.
All right, so definitely my big storyline coming out of this one, and I know Kevin's going to say the same thing, so I'm glad I get to go first.
No, I'm going to say something else.
German Terran player Kras. This kid really blew me away, showing off some phenomenal multitasking, really taking advantage of Terran's newfound mobility via medevac drops. Is this Kras's gameplay?
Yes.
You prepared this for me, Kev?
Yes.
You are so man. I hit a home run when I said you're going to talk about this one.
All right, I was going to talk about it.
So this guy just blew me away. Incredible play, a Korean killer. This is his game against Harstem, where he just absolutely. Harstem is a great European Protoss player. Absolutely made Harstem look like. He was not on the level. So Kras was exceptional. PandaTank was another big story coming out of the tournament, playing from South Africa with lag that is comparable, if not worse, than the latency from Korea to Europe. Did I pick another one of your stories? PandaTank managed to make it into the top 4 all 4 days. Is that right? Top 8 once, top 4 3 times, something like that. Just phenomenal play from PandaTank. Absolutely beyond the shadow of a doubt, proving to me and I think to the rest of the world that he is on at least equal footing with any European Protoss player that there is. I think PandaTank disproved a lot of doubters, and if he were playing from Europe, I'm confident that he would have qualified all 4 of those days. I am heartbroken that he's not going to be playing in the DreamHack event this coming weekend. And somebody in Europe, get this guy into your house, hire him, get him on your team. He plays for Cooler Master right now, but he needs to be training in Europe or in North America somewhere where he can actually compete without having to fight against that lag. PandaTank is a monster, and it was so fun to see him do well.
Absolutely. I love Rob to death. Kev, now that Ben took 2 minutes, what do you say?
So many storylines. Those 2 definitely storylines that I want to mention as well. But there's so much more than that. What about the rise of the Eastern European players? Again, like who could have ever predicted Strelok would qualify? He's a guy that we've seen since day 1 of Wings of Liberty beta. He was there, and now actually he bounced back so strong. I had to admit, I kind of ridden Strelok off.
I'm so glad you brought him up, because he played so well.
I did not expect him to qualify, so I think this is really awesome. And of course, Happy as well. For the people who don't know Happy too well, Happy was an absolute beast in Warcraft 3 times. He was so good, and on a certain point, even though my race was really favored against his race, we started playing custom games. In the start, he was winning more. I was like, I'll get the hang of it. I'll start abusing a little more. And then on certain moments, I said, like, all right, let's not play anymore. He was that good. And I StarCraft 2, he was never that convincing. But perhaps Heart of the Swarm is much more his game than Wings of Liberty is. He is a really micro-intensive player, at least in Warcraft 3 he had fantastic micro. So I thought that was awesome. Daishi, perhaps the next big thing coming out of France. I think that was really cool. Of course, a general storyline is that the Terrans performed extremely well. We had 6 Terrans qualifying and 2 Protoss players. But yeah, Civ as well is a guy that I've played a lot against when I still lived in Europe, but never really saw him making that much noise. And now I think he only tried to qualify like once or twice as well, and then immediately made it through the biggest bracket as well.
Hellbat drops and Widow Mines, you really have to sort of at least tip your hat, acknowledge that. Terran's using those to great effect. Some players showing off a really strong understanding of how to play against those styles, and I think those are the guys that did rise to the top. Dan mentioned that no Zergs made it through the qualifier, but I think it's very interesting to note that when WCS actually starts, we'll have 11 Protoss players, 12 Terrans, and 9 Zergs, so still pretty even racial distribution there in the main tournament.
Thank you for stealing my next question. So I'll follow up because I knew you'd steal my next question. Is what do you think about the Koreans playing through the qualifiers and not making it through? Is that a testament to the Koreans applying for the EU region, or is it more of the fact that Europe is much better prepared for these Koreans, or is it just a lag? What do you guys think about the Koreans' play?
Well, a couple of points. First of all, the few Koreans that were, I think, the few Koreans that had chosen to play in Europe and that were capable of winning in Europe are already invited. Beyond that, the Korean players that tried to qualify, while all very good, are just not, they're not life, they're not partying, they're not rain, they're not innovation, they're not the S-class players. They're not the guys that are gonna dominate. And maybe they decided to sign up for Europe. Oh, I'm just gonna steamroll these noobs. But that's not how it is, man. European players have always been very strong and proved throughout Wings of Liberty that while they may not be, as dominant as a Life, an MVP, an MC, or an SD, that they've been capable of taking games off of those guys throughout the entire life of StarCraft 2. So. You can't just show up in a European tournament and expect to cash checks. It doesn't work that way. And
okay. Kev, last 10 seconds.
I think you're missing a big point here, though, Ben, is that, yes, those guys may not be live or partying, but they are still playing from Korea. Because I'm pretty damn sure if you put Finale or Tails in Take's house in Germany and you let them play 4 qualifiers, that both those guys will qualify. Because
they'll make it through one, but if they play in all 4, they're not going to make it through all of them.
That's a great way to...
maybe not all 4, but I think you underestimate how good Finale and Tails are. But I must say as well, like, we have to point out that very few Koreans actually played in this qualifier. Maybe at best 6, 7, 8, 9 Koreans, really not more than that.
Not that many Koreans, but still a really intense competition nonetheless. And really excited for the qualifiers. And really excited for WCS season #1 in Europe. I want to also take the next 5 minutes, as we can put it on the clock, to talk about ESL and maybe how they're going to be handling the broadcast. What do you guys think about all the administrative problems that they had to deal with? Do you think people were too hard on them? Is it justified, or is it just a community circle jerk?
I actually think that we should applaud ESL for how they run the European qualifiers. Yes, of course, when you have almost 4,000 unique players signing up, there's going to be a minor issue here and there. Some people may or may not be able to get checked in, but they hosted 4 qualifiers, which I think is really awesome. Don't put it all on one day. 2 guys qualified. Really not that many issues happened. The way from an organization point of view, the way they handled the qualifiers, I think it was really awesome. And I think that all the players had a fair shot at qualifying, and I think ESL did a really good job. Broadcasting-wise, I think they could have done a slightly better job, but that's another point which we can touch later on.
I definitely agree with Kevin. Administratively, all right, so one thing that MLG has got to learn from ESL is that
what is your point?
Experience shows, right? And ESL has been hosting online tournaments for how long?
Well, 10, 15,
how many games?
How long have we had the internet, guys? I'm pretty sure ESL was hosting, Hearts online back whenever that stuff first. These guys have been doing it
for spades online or something.
They've been doing it forever, literally. And as much flack as we give ESL for having a crummy website, for not always getting everything right, maybe for the broadcast was a little flunky. One day they started an hour early, and or an hour late. Yeah. It was early, right?
Early.
And that sucks. That sucks. A lot of players got screwed by that. Shame on you, ESL. That's bad. They still gave players 4 chances to qualify. They still opened up the final day to an unlimited number of signups. They did a very good job. It was not a perfect job.
No, I think it was very, very good. I don't think anyone would have done a better job hosting those big online qualifiers in that matter so short after each other. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah. So hats off to them. Administratively, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close.
All right, cool. Let's bring up the graphic about the groups for Europe, and I want you guys ask you guys, what are the most interesting group? Maybe who has the hardest group, the group of death, or the easiest group? Just speak to it a little bit based off what you guys have in front of you. What do you think? We'll start off with you, Kev.
The group that I really like is Group H, which has Mana, MMA, sort of, and Feast. Sort of has been in Korea for a little while. We haven't seen a lot of him, but it doesn't mean that he's slacking or that he was a patchwork. I think he's just been training really, really hard. I'm very curious to see how he's going to perform in those Swedish national championships, which are coming up sometime soon. I'm not sure where, but I know that most cities had their qualifications done already. So I would love to see how he does there. But I think that that group is really sick. Of course, MMA is going to have to prove that he is better than those guys, and we know that he has the potential, but it's been a while that he really saw it. So I think that group is awesome. I can't wait for it. Mana, one of the most successful European players of all time, safe to say. No one has won as many second places as Mana, but he definitely got a few first
Mana
places
is so
as well.
good, man.
He has
Easily
won so
top
much
3.
money, man, those guys. Mana and Nurture both won like almost 90 grand or something. That's so impressive. Other small group I want to give a shout out, even though I'm excited for all of these groups, man. It's a fantastic tournament. But I really like Nani, Kayas, TLO, and Shadow as well. Just because, hey, it's Naniwa, he's back in Europe. I'm so curious to see how he's going to do. TLO has been practicing more than ever, and he's always been practicing a lot, so this is crazy. How good is Cass in Harder to Swarm? I have no idea, but you know that he's going to put in the work. Then you have Shadow, a Korean player we don't know that much of, living in the Clarity Gaming House. So you have 4 guys who you know are that serious about their practice. That's fireworks, man.
Great
that's
picks,
awesome.
man. You even managed to stop our timer. I don't even know how you did that, Kev. I guess it's revenge for the previous section. Ben, we'll give you a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, Group E, I definitely agree with Kevin. I'm excited to see how Naniwa plays. We know that he likes to talk a big game. He's been in Korea for years now. So finally he gets a chance to step up and show Europe how good he really is. And I expect him to do very well in that group, and if he doesn't, I'll be very disappointed, as should a lot of other people. My other group to watch is a pretty obvious one, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Group G. You've got a really fun storyline, and that's the old versus the new. You've got Stefano and Grubby. These guys have been competing against each other since the Warcraft 3 days. And then you've got Crass and Baby Knight. Now, Baby Knight's got some history as well, but he's really only rising to prominence in StarCraft 2 in, say, the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Like, he's been around, but really he's rising to the top in the last 6 to 8 months. And you've got Crass, this out-of-nowhere German Terran player who just played the qualifier of his life. So you've got a super exciting storyline here. Can Stefano maintain the dominance he carried over from Wings of Liberty? Will Grubby finally become the champion that he was back in Warcraft? Is Crass, this new young upstart, going to be the next big European thing? And then Baby Knight, who's been steadily climbing. Will he finally surpass all these other guys? I think it's a great group, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
You said that so well, Ben. It gave me a little bit of goosebumps.
Exactly, man. I was getting really hyped for it.
Yeah.
I am really excited. Play begins April 23rd and continues until May 9th. The last thing we want to talk about before we wrap this section of the show up is address the NASL stream issue a little bit. Ben, obviously your Twitter was at the front page of Reddit as well as getting lots of retweets. I was ready to retweet it as well. Can you guys speak to the situation at all right now? Like, how after a few days after the incident, what are you guys feeling about it?
Do you wanna run with this one, or?
You can open it and then I'll close it.
So okay. I'm holding a can of gasoline right now. I got to be very careful how I handle it. We were
lunch was that good.
All right, we're going to get down here and get really intimate. No, we were. I reached out to ESL a couple of weeks ago. As the whole world knows, NASL has not been casting much StarCraft recently. We love StarCraft. This company is built around StarCraft. This is literally what the last 3 years of our lives have been dedicated to. Traveling around the world, talking about StarCraft, playing StarCraft, casting StarCraft, interacting with StarCraft players, going to the people that make StarCraft and sharing our ideas with them. And then for the last 3, 4, 5 months, there just hasn't been any. There's been this huge void, and it's been like literally emotionally hard for us.
Yeah.
Like it sounds so stupid, but we love this game, you know, and we haven't been doing anything. And as you guys can probably speculate, a lot of it has been silent around WCS. So finally, the WCS announcement happened. We're not directly involved in WCS in any way, but we really want to be. So I asked ESL, hey, can we do some casting for you guys? And they said, yeah, come on and cast our qualifier. So we came into the office, casted one day of the qualifier. It was a lot of fun.
So much fun.
About halfway through the cast, we got a message from the ESL guy say, hey guys, it's actually in our contract with Blizzard that these broadcasts, these big broadcasts, because we were pulling big viewers, go out on WCS channels. And as much as we would have loved to have turned our stream over to the WCS stream and just do the same show, as a business that has to keep the lights on, we cannot bring people into the building, pay people to run the streams, pay casters to be here, keep the lights on, all of this stuff, and then not have our name attached to it in any way. So by having NASL TV in the Twitch address bar, that validates it in some way, and it doesn't make us more than probably $500, honestly, for 8 hours. We might make $500 on that stream, but it validates it in some way. So the boss can say, hey, we were here for this reason. But when you're working for free, the boss is always going to say, I'm sorry, guys, we can't do it. And that's just what it boiled down to.
Yeah, just to clarify as well, like once more, that was obviously not Ben's or my decision. It's not like that we wanted to get paid to cast, because hey, we're full-time employees, so we get paid regardless. It makes absolutely no difference for us. But the difference is that if we are not casting on the NSL stream, our boss is basically paying us to sit here the entire day. He's not getting anything out of it, and as Ben pointed out as well, you need some people to run the studios. So he's paying 4 people, and he's getting nothing in return. And as much as Ben and me, I mean, obviously for us, it makes no difference. If we get
so, dude, we would much rather be casting this than like. Do you think it makes us happy to sit at home and watch other people cast the event that we want more than anything?
Yeah.
Like it's actually.
But I mean,
it sucks. But
it was
it's
logical
just the way
from all sides, so I think it's time to move on. Like one thing I do think I still want to point out, we just applaud ESL for the way they run the qualifiers, and I think they did a really good job because that's so hard to host something like that. I do think they really could have done a better way in broadcasting it, and I know that James did it. He put in so many hours, and he did a really good job. He worked hard, made long days, but at the end of the day, it was just one guy sitting there controlling the own panels. I know all about it because I used to do it in the past. There was no one else around, and come on, not even a co-caster, and it's really not impossible to find a co-caster when you live in Cologne.
Hasu Obs lives 15 minutes away, man.
Yeah, there are so many guys out there that you could definitely bring in if you just reach out. There are so many good German players. Hasu and Zoka are both awesome, but Hasu, in my opinion, is one of the best player casters there is. If you would have paid him some, you just up your production already 200%. 4 days solo cast is just a little boring, I think.
All right, well, that does it. Thank you so much, guys, for your statement on that. And everyone can link to that VOD. If everyone's like, what happened with NASL? Just link them this VOD of the polls. Plus, we like YouTube money. Let's take another break. After the jump, we'll be covering WCS, NA, DreamHack, and some other news around StarCraft 2. Now, wait, before I send the people off, this is my favorite moments from WCS highlights.
So let's speak about the game. We are here for that, right?
Okay.
But there's nothing happening.
So we fill it in with small
Oh,
talk.
okay. Speak.
My first placement matches, I was in Gold League after that.
Wow.
I started out in
Good
Gold League.
job. Good
You
job.
suck, man. You suck. Am I still fat?
Let's be honest.
I think you look very handsome, Elias.
Thank you. You too.
That's you never tell a lie.
Okay.
You're like Abe Lincoln, or is that George Washington? That's George Washington.
You are so smart, Mr. Bita.
That's why I'm the pro caster. You're gonna try to be impartial.
No, I'll try to be very complimenting the players.
Okay.
How do you say this?
Compliment?
Yeah, I will compliment them.
There is no transfuse.
A big fail. He failed again. He failed 6 times. It's stupid. So
how do you feel about the level of play in this game?
I'm disgusted, to be honest.
Things that you can only say when Stefano's next to you on set. I'm disgusted with the level of play in this game.
Stupid idiot. He's not in a position to whine. He was playing like people complaining about the balance. Stupid, dumb people.
And why do you think they like Idra so much?
Who likes Idra?
A lot of people.
Oh. Everybody knows he's kind of a dick.
Stream because
only men speak their words. If you don't speak your words, you are female. I speak the love language, don't I? It's like a love fluid going out of my body.
I think you'd be a good coach. I think you're like the non-Korean version of Coach Park.
Who is he? Oh no!
Oh man, I'm out of a job when you start casting.